Hello, my gorgeous pants. Nanny's going to read you another story. And this is Paddington and the Busy Day. It's by Michael Bond and it's got pictures by R.W. Alley. We'll get started. One morning, Paddington looked out of his bedroom window and saw that it was raining outside. A little bit like today. Not very nice. He was very disappointed. He had planned to spend the day in the garden and now he had to do nothing. How about doing some painting? Suggested Judy. You can borrow my paint box, my paints, if you like. There's a bowl of fruit in the other room, said Mrs. Bear. Why don't you try painting that? That should keep you quiet for a while, said Mr. Brown, as Paddington left the room. Look, there's Paddington looking at the rain. That was me today when I had to go to work in the rain. Ugh. Nobody likes the rain, do they? And they're suggesting that he paints the fruit. So do you think he will? But Paddington was back in no time at all. He held up the bowl of fruit for everyone to see. I've painted it blue so that it will match the wallpaper, he said. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days, groaned Mr. Bird. Has anyone else got any good ideas? Oh no, he painted the fruit instead of painting a picture of the fruit. Look, there, he's painted it all blue. Nobody wants to eat that now, do they? Oh, silly bear. You could help Mrs. Bird in the kitchen, said Mrs. Brown. How about tidying up the loft, said Mrs. Bird hastily. The loft. Your stamps need putting in an album, said Jonathan. Stamps on the letters, but he collects them. If you have any paste left over, said Judy, you could stick lots of things together and make a collage like the one on the wall. Paddington thought for a moment. I think I'll start in the kitchen, he said. I may like some pastry. Bears like pastry. I think it's time I went to the office, said Mr. Brown, and off he went. Look, they're all thinking of ideas that Paddington could do, because he's bored. He can't go out in the rain. So they're thinking of things that he might be able to do, like sticking. Let's see what the naughty bear gets up to next. Paddington was soon hard at work, making pastry. He used over half a bag of flour and he ended up with most of it all over himself. You'd better go upstairs and wash now, said Mrs. Bird, or you will end up looking like a polar bear instead of Paddington Bear. I do hope it stops raining soon, said Mrs. Brown. I don't think Mrs. Brown can cope with any more of this. Look at the absolute mess that the bear has made making pastry. He's such a messy, naughty bear, isn't he? On the way upstairs, Paddington remembered his stamps. Remember his stamp collection? His Aunt Lucy, who lived in the home for retired bears in Lima, was always sending him postcards. He collected all of them into a big pile and took them along to the bathroom so that he could get the stamps off with the water at the same time as he washed. Wonder how this is going to turn out. So what he's going to do is going to put the postcards in a little bit of water, and then the stamps peel off, and then he can stick them into his stamp collection folder. But he's doing it while he's having his own wash. I'm not sure that's going to work. But as soon as the water started mixing with the flour, he had flour all over him, didn't he? And when he was baking the pastry, it turned into paste. It's like a glue. And in no time at all, he found he had more stamps stuck to his duffel coat than in his album. Oh, it's Bear. Whatever next? Look, there he is collecting all his postcards that were sent to him. And he's going to take them in the bathroom to wash them off so that he can put them in his album. But it's all gone terribly wrong, hasn't it? Oh dear. The silly bear is covered in all that flour and he's all sticky. So now the stamps are stuck to him instead of his album. Silly bear. Paddington decided it might be a good idea a good time to try his paw at tidying the loft. So he's going to go up in the loft. At least one would be able to see him up. No, at least no one would be able to see him up there. He made himself some marmalade sandwiches and found his torch. He does like marmalade sandwiches. That's marmalade. Paddington Bear just loves marmalade. And he gets all sticky and messy with it. Then he climbed up the special ladder Mr. and Mrs. Brown used for going into the roof. You know, like Nanny and Grandad have got that little ladder that goes up in the loft. Paddington had never been in the loft before, and it was much darker than he'd expected. Ooh. Ooh. Look, there he goes on the special ladder, just like Nanny and Grandad's, up into the loft with his marmalade sandwich. But look, he's looking a little bit worried because it's dark up there. Ooh. He hadn't gone very far when he stepped on a loose board by mistake. Oh dear. The other end came up, so he stepped on it on this end, and the other end came up and it hit him on the back of the head. Bang. Oh no. The torch went one way and the marmalade sandwiches went the other. And Paddington went straight through his bedroom ceiling. Oh, goodness me. Back in his room, Paddington gazed up at the hole that he'd fallen through. Oh dear, he said to the world in general. I think I'm in trouble again. I think he is as well, don't you? Silly bear. Look, he's fallen through the hole in the roof. Oh, he's such a silly, silly bear. Whatever next? So his marmalade sandwich went one way. His torch went the other. He looked at himself sadly in the mirror. Wondering what to do next. And as he did so, he had an idea. He fetched his pastry and the rest of the flour from the kitchen, and then he collected Judy's painting set and the rest of the stamps. After that, he found a bucket and a large spoon and some old newspapers, and he set to work. The Browns could hardly believe their eyes when they saw what Paddington had been up to. What do you think he might have done? Look. with all that pastry, flour and glue and the stamps, he's stuck them all to the hole in the ceiling to cover up where he fell through. He's trying to make things better, isn't he? I'm not quite sure that that's what he should have done. Look, there he is getting in a mess, fixing the roof or the ceiling. I've never seen a collage on a ceiling before, said Judy. I wish I'd thought of it, said Jonathan. It looks good enough to eat. That's because he put the pastry and the flour up there. It was probably like a big cake. It looks good enough to eat, said Mrs. Brown. Whatever gave you the idea? It came to me, said Paddington vaguely. It's what's known as a ceilingage. Instead of a collage, is a ceilingage. I shall keep it there to remind me of all the things you can do on a rainy day. I think, said Mrs. Bird, rain or no rain, it's high time you had a bath. And even Paddington had to agree that this was the best idea he had had so far that day. The trouble with having nothing to do, he said, is that you get very sticky, especially if you happen to be a bear. And there he is. He's going to go off and have a bath because he's sticky from the the marmalade sandwiches and the pastry and the flour and the sticky stamps that he stuck on the ceiling as his ceiling collage. And there he is, having his bubble bath. Scrub, splish, splash, splish, splosh, splash, splish. Do you like having a bath? Paddington likes having a bath. That's the best thing he's done on his rainy day. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon. Love you lots. Mwah. Bye.